first topic of the night, we really wanted to kind of recap college football week 0, I guess you could say. Really wasn't the true first week because this week is the true first week of college football. So if you look back, the biggest game there was the Miami-Florida game. A lot going on with that game. A lot of debate right off the bat because I think we're so starved for college football that we just immediately jumped to making, solid statements like blanket statements for every player and every offense and every team, those two teams specifically, right there from the start. So what did you think about the game? I know, well, before we say that, I want to congratulate you on the fact that you did pick correctly. You said that Miami was going to cover the spread, but that Florida would win. I actually said that Florida was going to beat the spread and score more than 8 points or win by more than 8 points, and they did not. Really kind of a sloppy game for those two teams. Not really what you want to kind of remember for the rest of the season, but what were your thoughts when you watched the game?
I mean, like you just said, that's my very first sentence in my notes. What a sloppy game. All right, turnovers and penalties and sacks, it was a ridiculous game. It looked really off kilter from start to finish. I actually thought, during the game that I was going to be wrong, that, Miami wasn't going to just cover the spread and Florida would win. Miami was going to win the game. I think when you look back at it, you look at all the problems they had. Miami, 15 penalties, 118 yards. Okay, Florida had 9 penalties for 100 yards. Miami one turnover, Florida 4, and Florida had 10 sacks. Okay, freshman quarterback going against their offensive line, not good. Okay, Miami's offensive line was absolutely atrocious the entire game. And you know what? Florida wasn't great. As a matter of fact, Miami's defense actually did a pretty good job against them. If you look back at their scoring drives, Florida scored in some ways where it's really more about what Miami did wrong more than what Florida did right. They went for a crazy 4th down at the very beginning of the game. Nobody saw coming. That's a 1 in a million type play. You're not usually going to go for that 4th down, caught Miami off guard, play 66-yard touchdown. Okay. You take away, I don't want to say you take away that touchdown. Obviously it counts, but in a normal situation, they were never going to score that touchdown because they were never going to go for it on 4th down. They caught them off guard. They got the 1st down, took advantage of it. Miami muffs a punt. A couple plays later, Florida goes in and scores. I'm pretty sure they scored again later, maybe a field goal or something, on a 4th down play. Again, they went for it on 4th down. It was a false start that wasn't called. Miami defense froze for just a second. They ended up getting the 1st down, going down to score, I believe. So Florida really, really lucky in this game. With all the bad luck happening all the way around, I really think Miami deserved to win this game. And that's hard to say when they give up 10 sacks. Okay, newsflash again. Miami's offensive line is terrible. That's going to plague them all season long. I don't think that's going to get fixed anytime soon. Hopefully they can mask it like they did in the beginning, short screen passes, over the middle type stuff. And they did really well with that. I'm assuming Florida's defense adjusted to that a little bit more than they would like. They kind of went away from it some. So they stopped scoring. But, I mean, what a game. It was a close game. It was a fun game. Even when everything's going wrong, it's still kind of fun to watch, when it's back and forth like that. They both had their chances, but Florida was able to squeeze out just enough to get the victory.
My first thing that I put down was, I was excited for that Miami defense. It seems like they're going to be a pretty good defense. Started out a little slow. I think everybody anticipated kind of a difficult game as your first game. It's such a big game for your first game out the gate to kind of work out the kinks, especially with a new coach, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. I knew it was going to be difficult for both teams, really, being your first game. That was my thought. Was the defense settled in and seemed to do really well for the Miami side. A lot of people were saying Jaron Williams, singing his praises up and down. I'm not ready to name him some next big thing. I think that's really what bothers me about the media is you get one player that does decent, doesn't do as bad as the guy on the other side of the field, which was terrible. But really his QBR wasn't as good as Felipe Franks because Felipe did get 2 scores and a rushing score. 2 passing scores and a rushing score. So, Jaron Williams, I'm not ready to say that he's going to be some sort of, master quarterback. The next big thing for Miami. It's just too early to tell. I was not impressed with how he responded after getting those turnovers. I talked about the defense getting 4 turnovers. After those 4 turnovers, let me read this out to you, Al. So Florida had a fumble. Miami answered with -2 yards. Florida came back, had another fumble. Other than DJ Dallas getting them into field goal range and them kicking the field goal, nothing. It was just a run game. Florida got threw an interception, 15 yards by the running back again, and they missed a field goal. Florida, an interception at the end of the game, or Miami got an interception at the end of the game against Florida, and turned around and got -2 yards and turnover on down. So I was really not impressed with how they took advantage of their turnovers. I mean, they got so many. You would think if you had 4 turnovers, you should win the game.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they did not win the game. And so here we are as Miami losing by 4 points. And I agree with you. It could have been a game that Miami easily had won. I'm looking over on Twitter the next day, and I see Pro Football Focus, which I love them. I mean, I follow them. But they put out a stats that said Jarren Williams, when kept clean in the pocket, performed statistically better in every category. And I thought, what a joke. I mean, you perform statistically better in every category when you're not under pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, shouldn't every talented quarterback perform better when they're not under pressure? That's what it's all about. I mean, really, you can't take pressure out of the game and say this quarterback's going to be the big deal because, look at him when the offensive line stood up. I guess that's what they were really trying to say is if he had an offensive line that was decent, he would have been better. Well, It's hard to say because you could have said the offense. It was the offensive line. You could have put it on the offensive line too. Just flip that for sure. So I mean, I don't really see. You always give the quarterback all the credit. Nobody gave DJ Dallas and the other guy number 9. Can't remember his name off the top of my head, but those 2 guys got a lot of yards after the catch.
Yeah.
And that one big play from DJ Dallas was a screen that was thrown high and away from him, and he jumped up, spun around, caught it, and took off with it. And you don't see a lot of posts about DJ Dallas, but you saw all these posts about Jarren Williams. And I'm just not big on giving the quarterback everything, praising him up and down just because of having an okay performance, I guess you could say, when really the quarterback position of all positions is relying on the people who he facilitates the ball to. And, again, same old same for Miami. I feel like they still have a quarterback that, can't win the game for them right now. Got to develop that from him. I mean, he's a young guy, so I'm not beating him up about it. But they, again, same old same. They have a great defense that can get turnovers, and they get that turnover chain going. I'm really impressed by their star player, DJ Dallas. I'm going to name him a star player because of just how well he played. He's my MVP of the game, even though they lost the game.
Yeah. No, I think what they're saying when they're talking about that under pressure stat you're talking about, first of all, you can make a stat say anything you want it to say. But I think when both quarterbacks, were not under pressure, they were comparing them kind of apples to apples when neither one of them was under pressure, that Jalen Williams, outplayed him or Jarren Williams outplayed him, which is very true. I thought it looked like Williams had some ability for Miami. I thought he did a good job, especially, goodness gracious, you're getting sacked 10 times. You're lucky to complete any pass because you think you'd have happy feet, wanting to get out of the pocket immediately. I thought he actually looked pretty good. Felipe Franks is the same guy I thought he was. Everybody was talking about how well he did at the end of last year. I wasn't buying it, still not buying it. And obviously he kind of proved that out to be true, at least in game 1 so far. Now maybe he gets it together at the end of the season, and kind of brings back that magic he had at the end of last year. I don't know. But I've just never been impressed with him, and I don't think he had a good night. It's just kind of a rough game all around. I really thought Miami deserved to win even after all that. It was kind of crazy. But you know what? All that matters is the W on the scoreboard, and Florida got it.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was a game I'd love to have seen the ACC win. I mean, I'm not that guy that says I want all ACC teams to lose. I do want to have better competition for Clemson and kind of get the other experts off of our back. But, I want them to all lose to Clemson. But I do want to have better competition in the ACC, specifically on the other side of the division. It's not fun going to the ACC championship and knowing you're going to steamroll them. I want to be able to go into the championship game knowing it's going to be a battle. The one that's Clemson's going to win, but again, a battle all the same. Alan, so that kind of wraps up week 0 because there was only one big game, really.
Right.
For Florida, though, I wanted to say real quick, right now, Felipe Franks is exactly what Kelly Gramlich said. Felipe hot dog. Not going to call him anything other than that. He's not showing up. Philip hot dogs, right? Philip hot dog, not showing up at all. And is Florida a top 10 team? I'm saying after that game,
Not even close.
Yeah, not even close right now. So if you're a Florida fan, I'm sorry. Got to go back to the drawing board and figure this out because the quarterback just doesn't seem, to have it right now. But defenses on both sides seem to be decent.